Confession can be a powerful form of healing. What's been buried in silence can finally breathe in truth. If stories like these move you, please subscribe to Tears and Truth, where every tear has a voice and every voice deserves to be heard. This story begins on a windy June evening. The wind carried the scent of salt and nostalgia. It was early June, and the sun was still high at 6 p.m., painting the waves in gold. The beach town of Seabrook was buzzing with its usual summer crowd. Surfboards, sandals, and music from open bars. But for Melissa Jennings, now 42, it wasn't just another summer. It was a homecoming, and something else she wasn't ready to name. Melissa sat in her car outside her childhood home, hands gripping the steering wheel like it might anchor her to the present. The engine was off. She could hear children laughing nearby, the chirp of sprinklers, and the distant hum of beach music. Her heart pounded not from excitement, but dread. She hadn't been here in 20 years, and her hand was a crumpled invitation. Seabrook High Class of 2003, 20-year reunion beach party. Written in blue script over an image of their favorite beach. And beneath that, come reconnect with old friends, old flames, and who you used to be. That last part got her. Who you used to be. Melissa had left Seabrook the summer after graduation. Not with fanfare or a big goodbye, but quietly, and with a broken heart. Her mother had passed unexpectedly, her father had moved inland, and the only person she had truly loved, Jason Ward, had left her on that very same beach 1 week before prom without explanation. Now, Melissa was divorced, her kids with their father for the summer, and she had no real reason not to attend. But no real reason to attend either, except that letter. And maybe, just maybe, curiosity, she stepped out of the car. The breeze hit her face like a memory. It wasn't long before she spotted the venue. Tiki torches already lit, string lights swaying, a beachside grill warming up. She could hear laughter, see classmates with cocktails, name tags, sunglasses, aging gracefully or not. Melissa, Melissa Jennings? A voice called out. She turned, cautiously smiling. It was Tara Monroe, still wearing the same loud laugh and big earrings from high school, though the years had softened both. Tara, Melissa breathed. They hugged. It was awkward, but warm. I can't believe you came. You look amazing. Everyone's gonna flip. Melissa chuckled, self-consciously brushing her shoulder-length chestnut hair behind her ears. Thanks. It's been a long time. Well, they say people don't change much, but we've all got some stories now. Tara glanced over her shoulder, then leaned in. And listen, just a heads up, Jason's here. He came with a friend. Hasn't really mingled yet. Melissa's stomach flipped. She looked out toward the bonfire area near the dunes. A tall man in a faded denim shirt, holding a drink, was laughing with a group. His profile hadn't changed much. Still strong jaw, still the same stance, like he never carried regret. She turned back to Tara. It's fine. I didn't come for him. Tara raised a brow but didn't press. Drinks are by the bar. Grab something. And hey, if you decide to have fun tonight, let yourself. Melissa nodded. Thanks. As Tara walked away, Melissa exhaled and moved toward the bar. She tried to shake the nerves, the ache. This wasn't about Jason. She was here to close a chapter. Maybe even confess some things to herself. But fate had a different plan as she sipped her sangria and watched the sky turn pink. She heard his voice behind her. Melissa! Her grip on the plastic cup tightened. She turned. It was Jason, and the past wasn't as far away as she'd thought. She hadn't heard his voice in 2 decades, yet it hit her like a chord she'd never forgotten. Rough, familiar. It belonged to bonfire nights, late drives, first kisses behind the lifeguard stand. Melissa turned slowly, bracing herself. Jason Ward stood just feet away, older, broader, and grayer at the temples, but still unmistakably him. His hazel eyes searched hers with a kind of nervous hope she didn't expect. He wore jeans, a white linen shirt rolled at the sleeves, and an expression she couldn't read. "Hey," he said softly. "Hi," she replied. Her voice cracked a little, so she took another sip of sangria. He smiled, just a flicker. "You came back. Just for the reunion," she said quickly. "I'm not moving here or anything." Jason chuckled. "Didn't think you were. Still, it's good to see you." Melissa looked away, back toward the fire pit. "I wasn't sure I'd come. Almost turned the car around 3 times. Jason nodded. "I get it." There was a long pause, filled with the sound of waves and someone's Bluetooth speaker playing a 2000s throwback song in the distance. Around them, classmates laughed and danced. But between them, it was quiet, tense, and crackling with everything unsaid. Finally, Melissa broke it. "Why did you leave me like that?" Jason blinked. "We're going there, huh?" She turned back, eyes hard now. "Why not? You asked for this moment the second you walked up to me." Jason exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. "I know. I deserve that. I've played this scene in my head 1,000 times. I just never knew how to say it. Try." He stepped closer, just enough for her to smell the ocean on his shirt and the lemon in his drink. "My mom was diagnosed with cancer. Stage 4. That week, when I was supposed to take you to prom. She collapsed in the kitchen. My dad fell apart. And I didn't know how to deal. I didn't want to drag you into it. I thought I was doing the right thing by walking away." Melissa stared at him, without a single word. "I was 18 and scared," he said. "And selfish." Silence again. Melissa felt anger rise in her throat, hot and bitter. "I waited for you, Jason, at the beach, for hours, in my dress, thinking you were in some car wreck or maybe dead. I didn't know what happened." He winced. "I know. I hate myself for that. I thought I did something wrong." "No," he said firmly. "It was never about you. You were the only good thing in my life back then. That's what scared me the most. You were light, and I felt like a shadow." Melissa looked down at her drink. Her heart beat furiously, but a tear was now threatening her carefully guarded composure. "I needed to hear that," she said quietly. Jason nodded. "I know." They stood there, 2 adults surrounded by the music and magic of a beach party, but carrying the weight of teenagers who never got closure. Then, unexpectedly, Jason reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I wrote this the night before prom. I just never mailed it. I've carried it for years. I don't know if it matters anymore, but I want you to have it." She stared at the note, unsure. "You still have this?" "Always." Hesitating, she took it. It was soft from being folded and unfolded too many times. Her hands trembled as she placed it in her bag without reading it. "I don't know what happens next," Jason said, "but I'd like to talk. Tonight, if you want to." Melissa looked up at him. She wasn't sure what she saw: hope, regret, longing, but it shook something loose in her heart. "Maybe," she said. "We'll see." She walked away, heels sinking in the sand, heart pounding. She didn't look back. But for the first time in years, the past was no longer frozen. Melissa wandered down the beach, away from the laughter and the pulsing beat of the reunion speakers. The air was cooler now, the sun a fading ember on the edge of the ocean. Her bare feet sank into the cold, damp sand as she walked toward the rocks that once served as a secret hangout during high school. Eye in her bag, Jason's letter felt heavier than paper should. It had weight, emotional, historical, maybe even redemptive. She sat on the edge of a flat rock, legs curled under her, and slowly unfolded the page. The ink had faded slightly. His handwriting was familiar, awkward capitals mixed with hurried cursive. "Melissa, I'm the worst coward for writing this instead of facing you. You'll probably never read it, and I don't deserve the chance to explain, but I need to say this anyway. I love you. That's not teenage drama, it's not prom hype. I really, truly love you. You are the best part of my life and the only thing that made high school make sense. When I see you, I feel like I have a future. But today, everything cracked. My mom's sick, really sick, and I can't pretend anymore. My family is falling apart, and I don't know how to hold them together. I don't want you to see me like this. Weak, afraid, broken. So I'm going to disappear. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I don't know how to carry this pain and still be your person. That's the truth.
I'm sorry.
I hope someday you'll forgive me. Jason. Melissa stared at the letter for a long time, eyes burning. Her fingers pressed it to her chest, the wind tugging at the corners. She wasn't sure what she felt. Sadness, yes. Anger, still. But mostly loss. Not just of Jason, but of the years they both spent apart, carrying grief separately when maybe they didn't have to. She wiped her eyes, folding the letter carefully and placing it back in her bag. Behind her, she heard soft footsteps in the sand. Turning, she saw Tara approaching with 2 drinks. I figured you might want another, Tara said gently, handing her one. Melissa took it. Thanks. Tara sat beside her, gaze fixed on the tide. You okay? Melissa hesitated. I read the letter. Tara nodded. I didn't know all of it back then. None of us did. Jason kind of vanished after graduation too. We thought maybe you broke his heart. Melissa gave a dry laugh. Funny. I thought he broke mine. Maybe you both did, Tara said. Or maybe life did. They sat in silence for a while, the kind that only old friends can share without pressure. Then Tara patted her knee. You should talk to him. Really talk. Not just for him. For you. Melissa sipped her drink. I don't know what I'd even say. You don't need a speech. Just say the truth. Melissa stared out at the horizon. The sky had turned deep violet, a half-moon climbing overhead. Something about the night felt sacred, like a page ready to be rewritten. I'm scared, she admitted. Then tell him that too. Back at the party, the crowd was smaller now. People were huddled around the bonfire, toasting marshmallows, talking softly. She spotted Jason, sitting alone at a bench, poking at the fire with a stick. His posture was slumped, thoughtful. Melissa took a deep breath. All right, she said. Time for the truth. She rose and began the long walk back through the sand, heart pounding, the letter still resting against her side like an old photograph rediscovered. The fire cracked in the distance, and Melissa knew. Some reunions aren't about rekindling what once was, but understanding what could still be. Jason sat near the bonfire, poking at the flames with a driftwood stick, lost in the flickering orange glow. The reunion had mellowed. Most of their classmates were either tipsy or tired, swaying to slow songs or sharing chairs wrapped in beach towels. The fire cast long shadows, and for a moment, the years between them seemed to stretch and collapse at once. Melissa stood a few feet away, unsure if he'd even seen her approach. The weight of everything, what they once had, what they lost, what they still didn't understand, hung in the salty air. He finally looked up. Hey, he said softly, as if saying it too loud might scare her away. Melissa sat beside him, her eyes on the fire. I read the letter. Jason's hands tensed around the stick. Yeah, I cried, she admitted. He swallowed. I've rewritten that letter in my head 100 times, but it still wouldn't have fixed what I did. Melissa looked over at him. Maybe not, but it explains it. That matters. Jason nodded, grateful. I didn't know how to let you in back then. Everything was falling apart. My mom died that August. I didn't even tell anyone. I just disappeared, like I always did when things got hard. I would have stayed, she said, If you'd let me. I know. His voice cracked. I was ashamed. I thought you'd see how broken I was and walk away. So I left first. The honesty hurt, but it also healed. She'd spent years thinking she hadn't been enough, that maybe their love wasn't real. But it had been, just caught in the chaos of youth and grief. I spent years thinking it was me, she whispered, that maybe I wasn't worth staying for. Jason's eyes widened, stricken. God, no. Melissa, no. You were everything. I was the one who didn't know how to hold something good. They sat quietly, letting the waves fill the spaces between their words. After I left, she said, I went to college out west, got married young, had 2 kids, divorced 3 years ago. Jason nodded. I'm sorry. It's okay. We grew apart. I think I kept chasing something I lost here. Like if I could just fix that part of the past, the rest would make sense. Jason looked at her, really looked. And now, she sighed. Now I'm trying to stop running from it, to forgive myself, maybe even forgive you. He reached over slowly, placing his hand over hers on the bench. I don't expect you to do that. I don't deserve it. It's not about deserve, she said. It's about peace. Jason was quiet for a long moment, his thumb brushing hers in slow circles. Do you remember that summer? The last good one before everything happened. Melissa smiled, a flicker of warmth lighting her face. The one where we snuck into the marina and danced under the lighthouse? And got caught by the dock patrol, he laughed. Yeah. We were happy. We were, he said. You were my favorite memory. She turned to him. You were mine too. The song playing from someone's speaker shifted to something familiar. Norah Jones. Don't know why. Slow, melancholy, and perfect. Jason stood and extended a hand. Dance with me, he said. For old time's sake. Melissa hesitated only a second before slipping her hand into his. He pulled her gently to her feet and led her a few paces away from the fire, where the sand was cool and soft. They moved together slowly, the music wrapping around them. There was no one else, just moonlight, ocean, and the ghosts of who they once were. And in that moment, the past didn't hurt. It just existed, woven into a kind of strange, beautiful harmony with the present. The song ended, but they didn't pull apart. They stayed in the quiet rhythm of the moment, swaying gently under the moonlight. The bonfire crackled behind them, its flames casting long shadows across the sand. For a brief moment, the world felt still, like time had stopped at the very instant their hearts had begun to sink again, as if the years between them were mere echoes of a past that had always belonged to them. But the night couldn't last forever, and neither could this suspended reality. Melissa took a step back, her fingers slipping from Jason's. Her heart was heavy, but in a way that felt like release. She had been carrying his absence for years, and now, standing here, she realized it had become a part of who she was, something that had shaped her, but no longer defined her. I can't stay here, she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. I've spent so much time trying to figure out what we could have been, and I think I need to let that go. Jason's face clouded with uncertainty, and for a second, he looked like the same 18-year-old boy who had walked away from her all those years ago, lost and scared. But he didn't say anything. He just looked at her, his expression full of understanding. I'm not asking you to stay, he replied quietly. I'm just glad you came back, for yourself, for whatever this was. But if we're meant to be a part of each other's lives again, it'll happen in its own time. Melissa nodded slowly, a tear slipping down her cheek. It's funny, she said with a half smile. I thought I came back to heal old wounds, but I think I came back to finally stop blaming myself for something that wasn't my fault. Jason reached out and gently wiped the tear away. It wasn't your fault, Melissa. I was a coward, and I'm sorry for that. The apology finally settled something deep inside her. The past couldn't be erased, but she could stop carrying it as a burden. They stood in the quiet of the night, the soft murmur of the ocean lapping against the shore. No words were needed anymore. They had said everything they needed to say. "I think I'm ready to go home now," Melissa said, her voice steadier than she expected. "I'm ready to move forward." Jason took a step back and gave her a small, tender smile. "I get it, and I'm glad you're ready." As she turned to walk away, he called after her softly, "Melissa." She stopped but didn't look back. "Yeah, take care of yourself. And, don't be afraid to love again." She nodded without turning. "You too, Jason. You too." The night felt different now, lighter somehow. As she walked back toward the parking lot, the weight of the years seemed to slip away, leaving only the horizon in front of her, open and full of possibility. When Melissa reached her car, she paused. She didn't look back toward the bonfire or the reunion party. She knew that chapter was closed, but the book wasn't finished yet. She climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine, letting the warm summer air wash over her as she pulled out of Seabrook. The road stretched ahead, and for the first time in a long while, it felt like she was headed somewhere that mattered, somewhere she could finally be free. And as she drove into the night, she whispered to herself, "I forgive you, Jason. I forgive me." The end. Thank you for listening to The Lost Love Reunion Beach Party. If this story touched you, please don't forget to subscribe to Tears and Truth for more stories of healing, closure, and the power of confession.